Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. My name is Rich Lennon, owner-operator of RVA Property Solutions, and I'm here to talk to you today about whether or not the house you found is in fact a deal. We're going to assume in this video that you've gone out, you've found what you believe to be a distressed property. The owner is trying to sell the property quickly, and you would now like to find out if the numbers match up and if this really is a deal. Not all people that need to sell their properties quickly are in an opportunity to give you a deal. So it's really important to pay attention to this video, as we're going to teach you a really quick way to see if there's some room for negotiation, and in fact the possibility exists that maybe we can close the deal and get you paid $500. Well, once you have an address, the easiest way to do it is to just simply go over to Zillow. So go over to your browser and type in www.zillow.com. Zillow is a information website for real estate. Tells you a lot of information about a lot of properties. Not always 100% accurate, but for our purposes is a good place to start to just see in general if we think the numbers are good for a deal. I've got a couple properties pulled up for you to show you what a deal looks like and maybe what a deal doesn't look like. The first one I'm going to pull up here is 2306 Homeview Drive. It's in Richmond. This is a deal that a bird dog presented to me that we were able to close on. So here's how we can tell if a deal is able to make. The most important thing to look down for is two things. Number one would be the how much Zillow thinks the property is worth. So they call it a Zestimate, if you will, but they estimate that this property is probably worth $145,733. Again, this is only an estimate, and Zillow is not accurate. In fact, this particular property, that number is off by about $25,000. But the important number down here is that it was last sold in 1994 for $5,500. Which tells you that there's a lot of equity in this home. So even if the property's only worth $120,000, they originally only paid $5,000. That means that there's a lot of room for negotiation, and this would be, in fact, what we would look for in as a deal. The number's not often as low as $5,500, but it's a good indication by how much money is owed on the house. Let's take another look at a property that maybe is not quite such a deal. This is 5242 Summerleaf Drive. This is in North Chesterfield. This is another property that a bird dog recently submitted that I wanted to talk about. Now we look up here at the Zestimate and we see that the property is worth approximately $128,000. Now we go down here to see when it was sold, and you'll see it was sold November 4th, which is good. We're looking for properties that are typically purchased 10 or more years ago, but it was purchased for $117,000. So there's only a little bit of room, although they've been paying off their mortgage for 9 years here. There's really only about $20,000 to $25,000 worth of equity, which means if we wanted to buy the property at, say, 50 cents on the dollar, which would make a good deal, the money's really not there. And so we can look at this property, and even though it might be vacant, even though it might have some problems with it, there's just simply not enough equity in this property for you to waste your time. And it's better off for you just to move on to the next piece of property. Now, sometimes the last sold date is not recorded on Zillow. You'll find that Zillow is flawed in many ways, and this is often one of them. If that's the case, simply go over to your favorite friend, Google. For this one, I'm going to type in the Chesterfield tax assessments. And a website's going to come up. And we're looking for this one right here, County of Chesterfield, Virginia, Real Estate Assessments. We're going to click on that. And this web page will pop up. And we are going to search property assessments. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to click on that button, and this is what pops up. And we're going to type in our information on a house that we want to look up at. All right, going to type in the address here, 05242 This is Summerleaf. This is the property that we just looked up. I'll note on the Chesterfield, if you're looking in, make sure this is a 5-digit number, and you often have to put a 0 in front of it. It gives you a little heads up of the same thing down here. But if you don't have 5 digits here, it won't give you the answer, and it can be very frustrating. So we'll submit our query, and we find out the information in the public records of who owns this house, when the house was purchased, and we can figure out then what the equity is. Now on Zillow, of course, it already had this information on this property, but if it didn't have the information, this would be a good way to go find that piece of information. Well, if there's enough equity in a property, then it's a good deal for the bird dog. So that's what we're looking for. Go into Zillow after you find the distressed property and find out, does the property have equity? If it has equity, you have a good chance to close a deal. My name is Rich Lennon. This is RVA Property Solutions. Have a nice day.